What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Rouslin's 3-Ball here on Awesemo.com. I am your host, obviously, Jason Rouslin. Find me on Twitter if you'd like to chat with me at DFSGolfer23. So this week, we have a dual week, actually. I'm going to be focusing for the most of this video on the John Deere Classic, as DraftKings gave us the biggest and best prize pools for that one. However, you can see my hat here reads the Scottish Open, as DraftKings also put out some pretty good prize pools for that one as well. There's actually a better field, a much stronger field at the Scottish Open this week, but again, they only put out a $10,000 to first place. Now, if you are craving for some content for the Scottish Open, I'll be coming out with a model and an article over the next 24 hours or so. It is a Thursday morning lock, so depending on when you're watching this, it should be out obviously by Wednesday, 5 o'clock, all of the content. The reason why I'm doing that is because a lot of the PGA Tour players or better PGA Tour players are over there playing this week. Of course, you've got the Euro players that are playing over there as well. So a great time to join. If you're not already an Awesemo.com Plus member, great time to join because you're going to get dual coverage this week for the price of one, and you're going to get the Open Championship next week. So a perfect time to join. You got the biggest and baddest contest coming up next week. So use promo code 3BALL if you're not already a member. Also, the Scottish Open, near and dear to my heart and us here, a few other members at Awesemo.com. A lot of us actually met there on the FanDuel experience that they had 2 years ago during the All-Star break. Hopefully they have it again next year. I've talked to some of the guys there. What a great experience. You get to go play a couple of courses. You get to go to the Scottish Open on Sunday with the chalet and the whole experience. It was a lot of fun. Best live final I've been to. Might have been the only live final. But anyways, beside the point, they don't have live finals for golf. So we're going to learn about the John Deere Classic, as I mentioned before. So we're going to go ahead over to my PowerPoint here. I apologize. We're going to go from the beginning. So this week's Classic, just mentioned, is the John Deere Classic. It's played at TPC Deere Run. It's a par 71 measuring 7,200 yards. This course has been hosting the event since the early part of the 2000s, so we've got a ton of data on it. And the data basically says that, hey, it's a scoring event. There are a ton of birdies each and every year. Michael Kim won in the mid-20 under last year. 20 under has been eclipsed quite a few times. So it always, however, is the week before the the Open Championship. You can see there in my copy, I still wrote the British Open. It's just what I'm used to calling it. For those that do play here and make it to next week, which there are quite a handful, there's a chartered flight over there. So it's not like they're going to get there too late or have to worry about going to the airport or what have you. So there's only 12, though, of the top 100 in the world here to compete. If you add in the three young phenoms that I've talked about before, Hovland, Wolf, and Morikawa, maybe you get 15 because those guys will be in the top 100 in the world in due time. DraftKings offering $100K to first place in 3 different contests, the $44, $40, $400, $44, and the $5. Try to say that super quick. FanDuel is offering $20K to the $7.70 buy-in before they gear up for their big ones next week. So pretty good contest, even though it's not a major, even though there's not a ton of good players here, there is plenty money to be won, that's for sure. All right, let's head into the players. As I just mentioned, Collin Morikawa. Got to talk about this kid. What a performance last week. If you did not get to watch, he came in second, lipped out a putt on 17, missed a putt on 18 by about an inch that would have tied Matthew Wolff. What a match. Those two have been friends for, I'd say, probably 7-8 years now, and fun to see them come down. Both basically securing their PGA Tour card. Collin Morikawa now because of that, $10,900 on DraftKings, $12,300 on FanDuel, highest price on FanDuel. DraftKings, he's a bit cheaper than Viktor Hovland. That second place I mentioned, 3M Open, 36th at the Travelers. Don't have any data on him yet, but I can tell you that he gained almost 2.5 strokes per round with his approaches last week. Off the tee, he was about average to match the field. He doesn't do it with distance. He's around the 300 number last week when we saw him pull out driver. Not terribly accurate, but more accurate than some of these long bombers. So he makes it up. He is certainly in his short game and his approaches, certainly like we saw Jordan Spieth when he first came out. So I'm a big fan of this guy. If you haven't seen my stuff, then you don't know that yet. If you have, then certainly you know. So Collin Morikawa this week, one of the top prices on the board. Second guy we're going to learn about is Brian Harman, another guy that is a little near and dear to my heart. He won Eagle Point a couple of years ago. I just happened to have him that week, and he won me a bit of money. Comes in at pretty good form. A 7th at the 3OM Open last week, 9,400 on DraftKings though, 11-4 on FanDuel, so the price is certainly expensive. It's been his approach this year that has really killed him. He's historically a very good putter, so he won't get struggled there, but 173rd in the approach is one of the worst on tour. And then 55 off the tee, so that's actually improved pretty drastically for a guy that doesn't hit the ball very far. So certainly somebody to look out for if his approaches do heat up and his putter stays hot. So Brian Harman this week, a former PGA Tour winner, and a decent course history as well. Was a past champion. Sorry, just had to clarify. It was a past champion here, so pretty good course history. Last guy we're going to learn about is Justin Suh, and I believe it's pronounced Sue, actually, Justin Suh. 6,500 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel. So the reason I'm bringing this guy up is he also is in this pack of young phenoms. Now, obviously, we haven't heard or seen him up on the leaderboards like we have Morikawa, Wolf, and Hovland. But this guy coming out of college had just as much pedigree as the other three. He finally made his first cut last week. He did rely on his putter a little bit as it was his best performing stat. But I do like the ability that he went out and made a cut after missing his first three. Comes here, it's a much weaker field. So the price is right for me this week for this guy. I'm going to take a look at him. Obviously, he had the pedigree, like I mentioned, in college that these other three did. So we're going to give this kid a look after making his first cut last week, getting his first paycheck, adding to that bank account. So definitely a flyer worth a look this week. So that will do it for my 3-ball this week. Finally back and healthy. Had my first whole home sickness. You parents out there that are watching certainly know what I'm talking about, or grandparents or whomever certainly know what I am talking about there. So I will be back. I'm going to do my model breakdown right after this, so you're going to see the same attire in that video there. And then, of course, when the Osmo guys come out with their ownerships tomorrow morning, I'll have the chalk report there as an ownership-based video. So until then, everybody, hope you enjoyed it. Of course, if you want to reach out and contact me at DFS Golfer 23 on Twitter is probably the best way. So until next time, everybody, cheers.